Hi everyone, my name is Mark and I'll be your Dungeon Master. Welcome to this introduction to Dungeons & Dragons, or D&D for short. D&D is a cooperative tabletop game. You can play with a board and maps. You can use miniature figures, like these ones I've made on a 3D printer in Branchtown Library. None of these are essential for D&D. All you really need is your imagination and a pencil. And you're really going to want some dice. There are free dice rolling apps available to get you started. And for online games, Roll20.net has virtual dice. But even though you don't necessarily need your own dice, you may still find that you want them. And you want more and more. Just as books will never be replaced by ebooks, there's nothing quite like rolling physical dice. Here I've got 4-sided dice, or D4s, 6-sided dice, D6s, which you recognise from standard board games. You'll want a good handful of these if you're playing a rogue and do a sneak attack. D8s, these are double pyramids. D10s are double pentagons. And if you favour a bow or use magic, you'll use these two a lot. The D12s, these are the dice I was raised on. They're not used as often these days, but you'll need them if you're a barbarian. And finally, the daddy of them all, the D20. Get used to rolling these, because you're going to be doing it a lot in D&D. It's a fun, immersive game. There's no winners or losers, although sometimes if the dice are unkind, your character may perish. And this game may change your life. Be careful, trying to get your next D&D fix may become an eternal fixture in your social calendar. I played games that went on for 100 hours, and the only reason many people stop playing it at all is for food and sleep. But it's a role-play game. The first thing we need to do is make characters. Your character can be wherever you want them to be, like a hero, a witch, an elf, a dwarf, a dragonborn. The more important is the type of character you are. There's no guidelines for this. You can be, happy, sad, mean, funny, tired, anything you want to be. It's fun to pick the character that you would like to be like. Sometimes it's more fun to pick a character that you wouldn't want to be like. My current game, for example, I'm no longer Mark from the library. I'm Gojira, the flamboyant bard from the College of Lore. Though D&D is mostly played in the imagination, although the books can be expensive, they're a one-off expense, and it leads to hours of play. There's official D&D stores in Dublin, Gamers World on Jervis Street, and the War Chest in Dunleary. You can also pick up the core rulebooks in most bookshops. You really only need the player's handbook to start playing, or get the starter set, which is about 20 quid. You can download the basic rulebook and character sheets for free on the official website, and we'll post that link in the description. You can make your character through an app using the official digital tools. But if you're just starting out, you'll want to do it the old-fashioned way to get a better grasp of the game. Those core rulebooks, they're available from the library. They're very popular, so put your name down if you want a loan of them. What you will need to play is a Dungeon Master to run your game, or become one yourself. The D&D might seem complicated at first, but it's quite straightforward, and the best way to pick it up is to actually play it. You don't need to be an expert to play this game, and watching live games is a great way to get into the game. So follow Dungeons & Dragons on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, or whatever social media you're using. There's live games every day. And while you're at it, don't forget to like and subscribe to Fingal Libraries and check us out on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. See you next time. We'll be looking at the mechanics of creating a D&D character. Hello, Dungeon Master Marc here. Welcome back to this introduction to Dungeons & Dragons. Today we're looking at the mechanics of creating your D&D character. So there are numerous character creation apps and online resources available. I'm going old school with this. We'll be using some old-fashioned physical devices. So you'll need a blank character sheet, a pencil, a rubber, because you'll be changing your mind and your story as you go, You can download these character sheets from the D&D website. You'll also find a handy guide to setting up your character there. But for now, I'm working out of the player's handbook. If you find you like the game and you want to keep playing, you'll need and want your own copy. If you want to have a look at it first, you can reserve a copy to your local library. The blank character sheet is in the handbook too. They look like this. Well, this is our player's handbook. You can see from the index that it's over 200 pages long. It's separated into 3 parts. Part 2 covers the general rules of play and Part 3 covers magic and spell casting. So those 40 or 50 pages you could refer to as the rules of the game. They describe how you play D&D. But the bulk of the handbook and the focus of this session is about Part 1, building your character. You can see the different aspects of character creation here. The individual chapters bring you through your character's race, class, personality and equipment. The best way to understand the mechanical aspects of character creation is to actually do it. And that's what we do right now. I'm going to use this scrap paper to make some notes. You can also use this to write down anything that strikes you about your character or any ideas you have for them. Having these notes will prove useful as you start playing. Establishing your character traits early on will shape your game. Not only for you, but for the other players and for your Dungeon Master too. We start with race. You can see here some of the main races in D&D. Dwarf, elf, halfling, human, etc. I'm going to keep this simple and go for a human. Next up is class. Got barbarian, bard, cleric and so on. I'm going to make this character a fighter. We filled in the class here. We're starting at level 1. The player name and the race. You see a lot of empty boxes on the sheet, so we start filling those in. At the left of the page there are 6 large boxes and these are your ability scores. These determine your character's strengths and weaknesses and they're important in shaping their personality and how you'll approach the roleplay aspects of the game. So here I have 4 6-sided dice, D6s, and I'm going to roll these to figure out my ability scores. I'll roll these 6 times, once for each characteristic. And as I'm doing this, I'm removing the lowest roll from the count. Then add the remaining 3 dice together and write that on your scrap paper. Now we have 6 numbers. We have 6 empty boxes on the character sheet. I need to distribute 1 number to each box. And the type of character will determine how I do that. The race you choose will have some bearing here. Some races are naturally stronger, more dexterous or charismatic than others, and you get bonuses based on that. I'm a human, so I'm kind of average at everything, so I get 1 additional point to every score. We've got here strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom and charisma. My character's a fighter, so I'll make sure to put the highest number into strength. Then I'll assign the other numbers to the other characteristics. Now I have my 6 ability scores in the 6 ovals here, so in the big boxes I'll put my modifiers. Every time I make an attack or a check, I'll roll a d20 and use these modifiers to determine how well I do. As we're scoring off a 20-sided die, the baseline average is a 10. If I have an ability that is higher than a 10, like this one, I'll get extra points on each roll. If I have one that's lower than 10, I get a lower score. And this reflects the strengths and weaknesses of my character. But to finish up today, I'm going to fill in the skills box here. These are more specialised stats that you'll use throughout the game, and they're based off your ability scores. Once again, these are d20 rolls that are modified by my character's abilities. So this strong fighter will benefit from my strength modifier when rolling for athletics. The dexterity modifier goes to acrobatics, sleight of hand and stealth, intelligence to arcana, history, investigation, nature and religion, wisdom to insight, medicine, perception and survival, and finally, charisma to deception, intimidation, performance and persuasion. We've covered a lot today already. You can see that the character sheet is still mostly blank. And join me next time when we'll name this level 1 human fighter and look at how the choice of race, class and personality traits translates to the character sheet. If you have suggestions for names, please put them in the comments. Follow Dungeons and Dragons on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube and their social media. There are live games every day. Hello, Dungeon Master Marc here. Welcome back to this introduction to Dungeons and Dragons. Last time we put together our basic stats for this character. We We chose his race, human, and class, fighter. We're nearly ready to start playing. It's time to flesh out this character and give him some personality. Your Dungeon Master and other people around the table can help you with the rules part of playing. Oddly enough, it's the least important part of D&D. Creating your character, finding out how they fit in the dynamic of the team, and how they react to the situations they find themselves in is the biggest investment you'll make with this game, apart from your precious time. I'll fill in the character sheet here as I go. As this character is human, his base walking speed is 30 feet. I'll fill that in here. Most adventurers will speak the common tongue, so I'll add common to the languages box. And as this character has a military background, he'll probably be able to read Dwarvish too, so I'll add that. And keeping things simple with this character, so he's going to be a do-gooder hero type, who fights for righteous causes and such. So in the alignment box, I'll put lawful and good. You might prefer it to be neutral, chaotic, or even evil, but this will suit this character. Looking at the fighter page, I can see the number of hit points this fighter has is 10 plus my constitution modifier, which is a +3, so I have 13 hit points. This is my health, and if I lose all those points, I'm in trouble. I'm proficient in armour and shields, so I'll add that into the proficiencies box, and also at simple weapons and martial weapons. These proficiencies will give me extra attack and defence points when I'm fighting. I'm also proficient at strength and constitution saving throws, so I'll mark those here. And while I'm at it, I'll fill in the rest of the saving throw stats. Any that I'm not proficient in will be the same as my ability modifiers on the left here. In saving throws, they aren't generally used in combat, they're reactions. For example, you might need to make a dexterity save in order to get out of the way of a trap, or a constitution save to resist the effects of a poison. The basic proficiency modifier for a first level player is +2. So my strength and constitution are my modifiers, +4 and +3 respectively, with an additional 2. So when I'm rolling a strength save, I can add 6 to whatever I roll. That can come in very handy indeed. I also have 2 skill proficiencies based on the fighter class. Because this character has a military background, I'll have athletics and intimidation. So I get an additional 2 points to each skill check I make on those. And this is where the rubber comes in handy. Now we'll load up with certain weapons based on your race and class, but I'm going to skip over that for now, because I want to focus on character and personality. You might have some ideas on the type of character you want to play. For this fighter, I'm going to use the player's handbook again to develop my basic personality. The character will be fleshed out as you play and you come to understand how they react to certain situations and the bonds they develop over time. This is a good way to ascertain your baseline personality. It's fun to be surprised by the dice rolls too. I'm rolling from a military rank here with a D8. That's a 1, so I was an officer in the army. Now we'll do the personality trait. 8. I face problems head on. A simple, direct solution is the best path to success. My ideals. This is tied to my alignment, so I'll take the greater good because I'm a lawful good character already. So our lot is to lay down our lives in the defence of others. Now my bonds, it's a D6 roll. Got a 3. My honour is my life. And finally, my flaw, that's another D6. Got a 5. My hatred of my enemies is blind and unreasoning. So this is an interesting character already. I'm lawful, I fight for the greater good, I defend others, I'm honourable, and I hate the enemy. So I have a good idea how I'll be playing this character now. Remember, it's the role playing and staying true to your character that's important in D&D. Once you have this base level personality in place, you can think of things like, how will this person manifest themselves? Your voice, your mannerisms, your general attitude. Imagine having a conversation with your character. How would they interact with you and with others? This will be the main part of your game. And once you have an understanding of this character's basic instincts, you can build on those as you play. You might find out surprising things as your character reacts to the world around them and the situations they find themselves in. This is the real magic of D&D. Now you have a character that's ready to play. So get your friends together or join an existing group and let the games begin. If you've made it this far and you're keen to start adventuring, drop me an email on blanchlibrary@fingal.ie. We've been running games in the branch for 8 to 12 year olds, and I know we can't run events in person during COVID-19, We can do online games. So get in touch by email or telephone and we'll get you started. I have games for children, teenagers and adults available. So include your age if you're under 18 and your library membership number, which you can find on your library card. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Fingal Libraries on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Instagram.